Welcome to the IoT Podcast. I am your host, Tom White. This is episode 10. Today, I am joined by Ersan Guenes. Ersan is the co-founder and CTO of INTRANAV. INTRANAV is a leading location and data service provider that is changing Industry 4.0 and the automation of the smart factory and warehouse arena. Ersan, thank you very much for joining the podcast.
Thank you for having me here.
You're very welcome. Ersan, could we just start by explaining your background in IoT Sensor Connectivity and INTRANAV's role today in innovating indoor and outdoor location tracking for the automation of factories and warehouses?
Sure. So I would say my career started with the end of my university time at the university in Darmstadt, where I studied electrical engineering and informatics. I was working on an institute for sensors, sensor networks, where I got the passion for IoT in the early ages, I would say, how to transmit sensor data reliable to the cloud and location-based services. So the idea was to locate people or assets inside a warehouse or retail store with small sensors, and that's how the idea for INTRANAV started. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Fantastic. And how long has INTRANAV been going for, Ersan?
It's now 6 years, 7 years.
Okay.
It's how long we are visible on the market. We launched the product 2018. So we did quite of time R&D and customer pilot projects. And we developed more and more our software platform, the RTLS IoT suite. So it's not a generic IoT platform that you already know from Microsoft Azure or someone like that. Mm-hmm. It's a very location-centric platform to manage all those devices, which are there for material identification, such as RFID readers and sensors and barcode scanners. With a nice add-on that you can use it and integrate it in any kind of application software.
Sure, fantastic. And in general, within tracking and automation of warehouses and IoT at the moment, we're seeing a lot of use cases around UWB. Could you explain the reason why INTRANAV has decided to adopt UWB technology and the benefits of using this and for optimizing future applications?
Yeah, so 2013, we saw the benefits of ultra-wideband, and it was a very promising technology, not very popular, but it had the technical possibilities to accurate very precise, to be low cost on chip costs, and it was like made for the mass market, and that is what is currently happening now. All the smartphone vendors are adopting the ultra-wideband technology because they see it as a very reliable technology for the consumer use cases and of course the industrial use cases. So we decided to adopt that very early, and this is of course a benefit that we can now, which helps us to perform better than others, I would say, because we have the experience already with our customers here in Germany and in Europe, and we made, we started to build up an ecosystem with different partners who could accelerate the adoption of this technology in industrial segments like healthcare, production, and logistics. Yeah, and I really love to see how it keep going. Yeah, so more and more technology vendors or device vendors are adopting the technology. They are looking out for a middleware and applications and use cases, and use cases are already there, from battery tracking for electrical vehicles to social distance management, which helped a lot of companies in this COVID times in the pandemic to keep safe distances. So there are a lot of use cases, and more the developer community is getting to that kind of technology. They have very good access to that, to the APIs from the smartphone vendors and software vendors to build and hack something.
Yeah. I think that leads me on really nicely to my next question and the situation with the pandemic. Obviously, the pandemic has pushed IoT solutions to the forefront at the moment. In fact, we recently were talking to people who were creating wearables that monitor temperature, as this is an indication of the virus, and is well known for that. What involvement does RTLS play in social distancing monitoring, and how can this be implemented into other industries, in your opinion?
So it plays a very big role when it comes to precise distances. So the 6 feet rule, or here in Europe, the 1.5 meter distance rule, to keep distance by measuring the distance between 2 points, where ultra-wideband can deliver the accurate data, and in the offices to show where people are, to build somehow a flow management for the people, for the employees, and showing how many people are in one room, what's the maximum size or capacity for one meeting room, and to give more transparency on that, so people can decide if it's a good idea to go into that. And also for social distance tracing, contact tracing. I mean, there are already some apps. They are using the Bluetooth interface of the smartphones, but there are a lot of industrial devices now coming out with the ultra-wideband technology, enabling anonymously data collection for contact tracing, and that's quite cool on that.
Absolutely, and I think this is one of the main benefits that we're seeing at the moment, and something that's here on the show that we've seen when speaking to people recently, is that there's a lot of great use cases coming out from the very sensor-driven environment of IoT. Be that utilizing NB-IoT or LoRa or Sigfox or various other platforms for both social distancing, the use of data, the manipulation of that data, and the analytics from that. And I think really it's huge, and also it could be quite interesting in terms of the collection of this data, because IoT is around data points and data sets, and is finding out as much information to make informed decision off the back of that. So in a way, as sad as this pandemic has been, having a real world example today, and using tools and technologies such as RTLS and what have you can really make a difference in what we expect to see in the future, because it's clear that the pandemic isn't going away very quickly. Despite talk of vaccines, it's likely that this is something that we're going to live with for some time. And would you agree that was the case, Ersan, in terms of what IoT can do to help this situation?
Yeah, I totally agree on your argument. So COVID-19 is like a series of bad movies. There will be always 3 parts of that. So 2021. And this is the new normal, and we think we have to build up tools to prevent that. So it's somehow responsibility of the technology guys to build something that could help us in this kind of situations. And I mean, I see it on the market at the beginning from the pandemic lockdowns. So I guess everybody noticed that the projects shifted, and some people got really into trouble. But now we see a huge demand on technologies to prevent and keep safety. And this is like an accelerator. I mean, that's a chance for us to build something for this type of new situations. And in the next years there will be, I guess, a lot more of that.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, and time will certainly tell how things will change and adapt given the situation. Going slightly back to INTRANAV then, and what INTRANAV does as a core business, I'm sure a lot of our listeners and myself would be really interested to find out what your view is on the future of smart factories and warehouses, and where this can really go with IoT, some of the technologies that we're using at the moment. What do you expect to see over the next 5 years?
So,
big question, I know.
Yeah, good question, of course. So what I'm seeing is that there's a lot of technology vendors popping up from the ground, from scratch, and it will be somehow a multi-technology environment where more and more Bluetooth technologies will pop up to solve use cases in the industrial sector. Ultra wideband as one of, I would say, the fast growing kind of technologies. Then 5G, as I said, narrowband IoT, Sigfox, everybody is there. And customers want to build applications on agnostic platforms. And this is also the role of INTRANAV. So we're building up in RTLS service platform where you can build up technologies, applications for multiple technologies. And you need somehow to orchestrate all those types of technologies. And in the next years, there will be somehow a vendor shakeout, I guess, and some of them will align to some standards. Some people try to build up standards in this ecosystem, and there needs to be one clear view for customers who want to benefit from the technologies, who want to couple different type of technologies to solve complex use cases. Because I guess everybody sees that IoT performs in the best way in complex use cases. There's where the money is, and you need tools that can handle that complexity.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Ersan. I know you're a super busy guy, so I appreciate you taking the time out to come and join us on the podcast. It's been really interesting learning your insights into IoT, obviously with INTRANAV in particular as well. We wish you all the best in the future, and hopefully we can keep in touch, and maybe in a year or two's time, once INTRANAV has furthered its advancements in its field, perhaps you can come back on and talk about what you've done then.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Ersan. Okay. Cheers.